Hi everyone, especially to our dearest professor, Dr. Kapuyan. So my report is all about education reform in the Philippines. So let's discuss first the Philippine education system, the history before and at present. So the Philippine education system has evolved over hundreds of years of colonial occupation. First by Spain and then by the US, through the martial law and the People's Power Revolution that brought democracy to the sprawling archipelago. The education sector's development has mirrored the changes in the country's administration. Today, the focus is on expanding access and ensuring more Filipinos receive a decent basic education as a means of reducing poverty and improving national competitiveness. The World Bank notes that in other countries, such initiatives have brought a large amount of benefits. The K-12 reform was introduced in 2016 and funding was increased, easing concerns that its implementation would be hindered by limited resources and winning over the new President Rodrigo Duterte, who was initially skeptical about the plan. The K-12 implementation. So the 3 years since the Enhanced Basic Education for ABEA, known as the K-12 law, was signed, the Philippines has finally embarked on its most groundbreaking change to the schooling system in decades, the K-12 reform. The K-12 extends compulsory schooling to grades 11 and 12, adding 2 years to secondary school and makes secondary education compulsory. Prior to its implementation, the Philippines was only country in Asia and one of only a few in the world to have a basic education system of just 10 years. The EBEA also mandated kindergarten as the start of compulsory formal education, while the Kindergarten Act of 2012 made the preschool free. So in August 2016, 1.5 million Filipino children attended the 11th grade, with senior school students choosing between 4 tracks through the system: academic, technical, vocational, sports, and arts. President Duterte expressed skepticism about the program before he was elected, but changed his mind in May 2016 after a delegation from DepEd told him that the change was necessary. A Filipino students was falling behind their neighbors. That's the reason why we are adopting the K-12 curriculum. Indeed, increased spending on basic education, including an expanded alternative learning system or ALS, is a centerpiece of the new president's 10-point socio-economic agenda. Building on the existing programs, the Education Secretary Leonor Briones said that the Duterte's administration's education policy intends to ensure that the country provides a quality education that is accessible to all and relevant to the needs of the nation. Filipinos should also find education truly liberating through the development of critical thinking skills and appreciation of culture and arts. So let's proceed now to the 10-point plan. So the shift of K-12 began under President Duterte's predecessor, Benigno Aquino III, who approached education as an investment in Filipinos and offered a 10-point plan for improving education as part of his election campaign. As well as K-12, the 10 fixes included a preschooling for all, technical vocational training as an alternative in senior high school, working with local governments to build the new schools, proficiency in science and math, and working with private schools as essential partners in basic education. The plan is to expand the government assistance to students and teachers in the private education, supporting as many as 1 million students in the private high school through the Education Service Contracting Scheme. The next is education for all. So what do you mean by education for all? So in 2015, the Education for All, or also called as EFA, initiative included provisions to ensure all Filipinos were able to achieve what UNESCO calls functional literacy, the ability to read, write, and do calculations at a level that is sufficient for the country in which a particular person lives. What are the key objectives of EFA? First, providing education options for all out-of-school adults and young people. Second, eliminating dropouts and repetition during the first 3 years of school. Third, encouraging the completion of a full cycle of basic schooling to a satisfactory level at every grade by all Filipino children. And the fourth one, committing to the attainment of basic education competencies for everyone. The EFA 5K trusts. First, the school-based management. Second, the development of teacher education. Third, the national learning strategies. Fourth, quality assurance and accountability. And the last one, changes to the administration of DepEd, using the latest technology to ensure more effective use of resources, whether staff or funds. So raising standards. Most of the official discussion on K-12 centers on the need to raise the standards to improve the education system of our country. So improve teacher quality and encourage completion of the basic schooling. The dropout rate has remained high, and data from the Functional Literacy and Mass Media Survey produced by the Philippine Statistics Authority shows that around 4 million children and young Filipino were out of school in 2013, while as of April 2016, 16.6 million Filipinos, or 39% of the workforce, had not completed the basic education. So, the World Bank noted continuing problems in access and inequality. The report found that only 50% of the poorest, or 20% of the households, sent their children in high school, while 81% of the wealthiest families did so. To address the problem, the government aims to incentivize attendance, extend school feeding programs, and expand programs under the ALS, a second chance, designed to ensure more Filipinos complete their basic education. So President Duterte has indicated that an enhanced ALS, better targeted with wider coverage, more partnerships and approaches to meet learners' need, will be one of his administration's major legacies. Next is the allocation of funds. So more effective targeting of funds to the areas of the greatest need is therefore a priority, alongside an overall increase in budget allocation. So Briones told the Education Summit on November 2016 that there is a need for drastic improvement in absorptive capacity. The Duterte administration is planning to introduce a series of financial management reforms to improve education outcomes, including the enhanced leadership, supervision, and oversight over finance, administration, and procurement, the creation of the education program, delivery unit to monitor budget execution and intervene to ensure funds more smoothly to where they are needed, a financial management information system to track budget spending in real time, and a more proactive approach to spending. So, the teaching standards. So, how did the Philippine educational system do this? So, in recent years, DepEd has introduced a number of measures to improve the standard of teaching, revising professional benchmarks, and providing more on-the-job training. It has also made a concerted effort to attract the brightest and the best by raising compensation and making the selection process more competitive. So in the past, teaching was poorly paid and often seen as fallback horse for university applicants who did not get into their preferred course. So studies found that teacher knowledge in both elementary and high school was low and that the professional development programs were insufficient. So quality of instruction. The government has been trying to rationalize the state sector by putting a halt to the establishment of new course programs by the state universities and local colleges that do not meet the standards set by CHED, by encouraging rationalization and hopefully reducing course duplication. It is also trying to raise standards through the introduction of quality institutional sustainability assessment. For the government to truly improve the quality assurance system of education, it should provide a strong data on the performance of the schools. So, once analysis is provided on the 10 best and the worst performing schools, the market would be able to decide based on this information. So Chito Salazar, the President and CEO of the FENMA Education, told OBG the Philippine Qualifications Framework. So research partnership. So research and development or R&D has been a focus in areas such as food security and environment and natural disasters, biodiversity and health systems in order to support the Duterte's administration socio-economic objective. So as a part of the push for reform, the government is keen to encourage increased private investment and internationalization in higher education. So some institutions already partner with overseas universities on the select courses, while the Philippine California Advanced Research Institute or the PICARI was initiated in 2013 by the specific community and academics to boost the country's research capacity by supporting the postdoctoral scholars and R&D proposals with the potential to address the Philippine developmental issues. So that's all about the reform in the Philippine education. That's all and thank you.